So we have got a dog in the studio today, and not just any dog, a boxer, a Puckipuppy Boxer to be exact. So the Boxer is a dual suspension bike with a 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery, a 750 watt motor that peaks at just under 1,000 watts at 960 watts, and it says it has a max top speed of 28 miles an hour with assistance. It's got hydraulic brakes and a retail price of just under $1,500 at $1,499. Any discount codes are going to be in the description and in the pinned comment. And this is the camo version of the Boxer, which they are definitely marketing towards more of a hunting, off-road type of audience. So you know we're going to be taking this thing off-road and testing that out for sure. Oh man, this dog does not want to escape. I think they glued this box together. All right, so I'm not going to be making any more dog jokes because I do think Puckipuppy is kind of a silly name for a bike like this. We'll talk more about that later, but this is how everything is packaged in the box. It looks really nice. And in here we have, I think, what is this, a bike cover or something? I'll open that later, but yeah, I think that is a bike cover. We've got this box in here that we're gonna check out. All right, so in here, it looks like we've got a bike alarm, this bike lock. It actually comes with a set of mirrors in that box, which is really cool. We've got some tools and a water bottle holder in here. And in here is a phone holder. They actually give you like this little goodie bag of bike accessories, which is really cool that they do that. This definitely isn't a cheap bike, and it is an investment that people are making, so it is nice to see that they give you all that, plus bike cover over there. And they do say that this bike is about 77 pounds on the website. I'm not sure if that's with or without batteries. Looks like we've got a little accessory kit down here too, and they're giving us a lot of extra stuff with this bike. So we've got an actual Allen key set. They give you some extra stuff for cable management on your bike. User manual, which we ain't reading that. Another tail light, a battery operated tail light. We got some wrenches in here. Looks like our headlight is in here also. They give us a little bike pump. So in that box is a charger, and this is a really tiny charger. This is probably the smallest e-bike charger I've seen. It's a 54.6 volts, 2 amp charger. I don't know if you can see that. It looks like it's got a little fan there too. And getting the Puckipuppy out of its box here. Get these zip ties off of here. We've got our big 24 by 6 inch fat tires on here. They are Black Cat branded with some knobby treads, so that should be good for off-roading. And we can get our first peek at this really cool looking camo paint here with our Puckipuppy branding and our batteries down here. Looks like this paint did come a little bit chipped here. You can see the bare metal right there. This paint is awesome on this bike. It can't be easy or cheap to paint a bike with camo like this, so that's pretty cool. And it does say Veil Camo right there. I don't know if that's a certain brand of camo or what, but looks really cool on this bike. It's definitely one of this bike's standout features. We got the included keys off of the handlebar, and as you can see, the battery just drops out from the bottom of the frame like this. This is a Woteam branded battery, 48 volts, 20 amp hours. Not too heavy for a 20 amp hour battery. We will get this on the charger for when we get it out on a ride. Wheel has been successfully installed on the front. Not too bad as far as weight goes without the battery. Should have got that kickstand installed while the bike was upside down. Luckily, it's only a couple bolts, which they obviously do include for you. Here we go, kickstand has been successfully installed, and we can see our Class 2 sticker on the frame right there, 750 watts, 20 miles an hour. Supposedly, we're gonna see if we can up that top speed at all. So now that this thing can stand up on its own, why don't we take a look at the seat here. This does feel like a gel seat, and it feels very comfortable and squishy. And if you have a dump truck, it's nice and wide, so no matter what thickness you are, this seems like it'll be a pretty comfortable seat. Now we will get our handlebars on here. I actually find myself being extra careful with this bike because I don't want to scratch this paint up. This is really cool looking paint on here, and I really don't want to scratch it up. I'm sure it's durable and everything, but you know, I'd feel really bad if I scratched this up. It's almost like when you get a new car and you don't want to scratch the paint on it. But you know, this is an off-road focused bike, so we're not going to be too gentle with it. Screen is installed on there, nice and secure. Of course, we'll get the pedals on here now with the included pedals. These are plastic, but we are going to be doing a fair amount of pedaling on this bike. We'll get our battery installed back on the frame here. And I almost forgot we got to install our headlight on here. We use the power button to fire this thing up. Screen is saying hello to us. All right guys, so we have got the Puckipuppy Boxer. It's kind of a mouthful to say. We got it fully assembled here, and I want to show you guys around this bike a little bit. So here at the front, we have 180 millimeter disc brakes, hydraulic Logan brakes. Of course, they should be pretty good on this bike. We have our Black Cat knobby tread tires here, which should be good for off-road. We've got our front shocks here, which are pretty soft, and they do have some adjustments. You have your preload, and then you have a lockout over here on the other side. We've got our dual headlight up here, which is decently bright. On like an off-road focused bike, if you're gonna be out and it's nighttime, you want a really, really bright light. So I don't know if this is absolutely the best. Maybe you wanna have a secondary one mounted up here on the handlebars, but I think that this is good enough for street use and maybe some off-road use at night. And then up here we do have a mounting bracket for a front basket, which I believe Puckipuppy does sell separate. Obviously we have our battery and everything here, our key to unlock the battery, and then our Puckipuppy branding. And then this paint on this frame looks just so awesome. I love this camo color. And I definitely think it will be functional if you are going to be taking this off-road and, you know, using this to hunt and stuff like that. Little charging flap down here for the battery charger. And we've got our shock down here. And this is a really good rear shock. This is very comfortable rear suspension on here. We have our Pro Wheel pedals here, which should be good for pedaling this bike. We have our standard e-bike kickstand down here. And then on the back, we have 180mm hydraulic Logan brakes as well. We have a Puckipuppy branded hub motor in the back there. Our 750 watt motor. I have a rear fender on this bike because Puckipuppy actually did send me the rear fender kit. So one thing I will criticize Puckipuppy on is the fact that they charge you extra for these fenders. I mean, this is a $1,500 bike, and to spend another, you know, 90 bucks on plastic fenders like this, I just don't agree with that. But over here we have our gear set in the back, our 7-speed Shimano gear set here. Then we have our tourney derailleur. All this should be set up really well for off-roading and everything since we have the help from our motor in the back. Then we have a very comfortable seat up here. It's very well cushioned, and if you're somebody like me that kind of hates regular bike seats, this is going to be a really good one for you. They did a nice job with the cable management. It just all kind of runs through the frame there. And that fender kit does come with a front fender, but I chose to not put it on right now because I just like the way it looks without that front fender on here. Taking a seat on the Boxer and just checking out this cockpit here. This is a really comfortable seating position. I'll show you guys how I look in a second on here, but on your handlebars here, you have these really nice quality grips. This is one thing that a lot of e-bikes cheap out on. Then you have your little remote control for your screen here. You can see we can go through the pedal assist numbers. It has the power up, down, your headlight button, which is nice to have a dedicated headlight button. I think this is your horn. Yeah, your horn, which is decently loud, but not obnoxiously loud. And then they give you a really nice aluminum phone holder right here, which I was surprised to see. It fits my iPhone 13 Pro really nice, and it's all aluminum and it twists in like this to squeeze onto your phone. This is a really nice addition here. For this amount of money, it is nice to see them include this many accessories. They do have the rear view mirrors. We have a really nice full color LCD screen here, which again, you can use the buttons to kind of go through the menus here. And then if you hold the down and the headlight button, it takes you into this weird screen here that'll pop up in a second. And it shows you your average speed, your max speed, your trip, and your odometer. You do have a good amount of space on these handlebars if you do want to add in some accessories. You have pretty wide handlebars on this bike. And then over here is our rear brake. So the left is our front brake. So this is our rear brake, and then we have a thumb throttle here. And we are in pedal assist 0, so it's not going to do anything. And then pedal assist 1 through 5 is gonna give you the power and allow you to use the throttle. Overall, really nice cockpit on this bike. All right guys, and this is what I look like on the Boxer at 5'9" here. I have the seat pretty low, but this is a really comfortable bike, and you can obviously adjust it if you're bigger. This is a really comfortable bike. This seat is amazing. When I took it out for a ride, it just felt really, really good. And this rear suspension is amazing. It's not adjustable, but it is a really good shock. I'm not sure if it's air or what's in there, but it's really, really good. This front suspension, same thing, is nice and soft too. And then this is what I look like pedaling on the Puckipuppy, trying to not fall over here on the kickstand. If I were to be pedaling this bike seriously, I'd probably adjust the seat up higher. So overall, this seems like a really awesome bike so far. And we're gonna go get this thing out and test this thing's off-road capabilities, especially because they're really marketing this as a hunting bike. And by the way, they do have a lot of other accessories for this bike on their website, including a rack for your GUN. And if you want to go out and do take this thing hunting, you can use that. That'll be really useful for you. And I'm just going to take this thing out for a first look on here. I'm going to do a full review on this bike on the channel later on, and I'll link to that in the description and the pinned comment below. But let's go ahead, take this thing for a quick ride, put it through its paces, and see if we can actually take this off-road and if this is a good option for an off-road or a hunting bike. So out here checking out the Puckipuppy Boxer. What an interesting name for a bike. And just right off the bat though, this bike feels like a tank. This thing feels so substantial, and it just feels like a really rugged bike. I think that as far as the marketing and the actual product go, the marketing definitely lines up with this product. I think this is a pretty rugged off-road bike here. As you can see, we're going on this like rough, rocky surface here, and it's handling it no problem. I'm gonna turn around right here and go back up that hill. But just talking about power here, this is not the most powerful e-bike in the world. Even though it is an off-road focused e-bike, it's definitely not the most powerful. It's got a good amount of torque, and you can see it's enough to get us accelerating up this hill at, you know, 17 miles an hour-ish. And again, just going over this really rocky stuff. This is a bike that just feels like you can take on all terrains. I think right off the bat, if you're gonna be using this bike for its intended purpose, I mean, we're going over these rocks right here like nothing. Going off-road, hunting, taking it in rugged terrains, I think that you're gonna be just fine on this bike. The suspension is also really comfortable on this thing. It is second best to the Wired Freedom right now. This is the second most comfortable e-bike I've ever reviewed. And the Wired Freedom has that D&M air shock, but this has, I don't know what kind of shock on the back, but it's comfortable and it works. I'm really not getting shaken around too much out here. The front suspension is very comfortable as well. And we're just blasting down this hill. Testing those brakes out, they work really good even off-road. So the speedometer looks to be reasonably accurate. I think it might be like 1 or 2 above the GPS speedometer on here, which you guys can see on my phone. I don't know if you can really see this display on here. Just on this grassy, ungraded surface, you know, we're going about 23-ish miles an hour on here. And this isn't a bike that's gonna be super acceleration focused. It's gonna be a lot more like momentum focused. Like once you get going, then you're gonna start getting that speed. But initially, if you're just setting off, it's gonna take you a while to build that momentum to get going. And you know, we'll just go through some really tall grass here just to sort of demonstrate that this bike can handle pretty much whatever you throw at it. I mean, we're in some really tall, unforgiving grass here, and it's handling it just fine. If you're looking at this from the perspective of this is a bicycle with pedals on it, and the ability to take this thing off-road and just throw this in the back of a pickup truck and not have to really worry about it too much, I think that's where the real value is in this thing, as far as like taking it off-road and hunting and camping and stuff like that. This is not replacing a dirt bike. This can be a really good option if you are going to take this thing in versatile terrains. You know, if you are going to take this off-road, if you are going to be taking this camping, hunting, whatever. It's also really awesome that they sell that rack on the back there, so you can bring along anything you need for hunting and all that type of stuff. There's a lot of holes here in the frame to be able to, you know, bolt stuff in and attach, you know, a rear rack and whatever you need on this. You've got a space for a water bottle holder right here also. Like, this is just a good platform to be able to build upon and add what you need. Biggest downside, I would say, with this bike that I've experienced so far is the fact that it doesn't have a rear tail light. And they do include that one in the box that you can add on, but I mean, what if you forget to change the batteries? It's also not a brake light. There's no turn signals on it. Just picking up speed here on the trail. Again, not accelerating super quick. It's more about momentum on this bike. And just so that you guys can sort of see what I'm talking about as far as acceleration, flooring it. We're going on this kind of dirt road over here through some of this bush, running over tree roots and everything. Running over a piece of corn over here. I don't know where that corn came from. But you know, this is kind of the stuff that you'd be encountering on this bike. We're gonna go up this big hill here. Handled it no problem. I'm about 150 pounds and I got up that hill just fine. There's nothing like being on a bike like this with good rear suspension and just blasting it off-road. You know, if you're on a road bike and you're going off-road, it's just uncomfortable, it's not fun. But that rear shock is so comfortable on this thing that it makes off-roading fun. Definitely enough power to be going on the road and off-road. One thing on this screen too is I really don't know how to read this battery gauge. I think this is your battery gauge right here, but I don't understand why they had to get so fancy with that. I think that was unnecessary. They just could have put a battery gauge or percentage. But we got the wind to our back. We're kind of picking up some speed here, going about 26. You know, you can get this thing going here. We're going about 30. I unlocked the top speed on this thing. I think it was limited to 20. So overall, you know, I really think that this bike is for somebody who wants something that might be a little bit more off-road focused. They do plan on taking this on trails, taking it out in the woods, stuff like that, on rough, unforgiving terrain. And this is a bike that can just kind of handle it. Now, it's not a hill climber, it's not a super powerful bike. You're not going to be doing wheelies, you're not going to be getting thrown off the back. But as far as something that you can pedal and, you know, get helped out by that motor, this is a really, really good option. And you obviously have the option of throttle here too, which is nice in case you do not want to pedal. This is something that you can throw in the back of your pickup truck or your SUV or whatever, and you can go out and go hunting, go on trails, you know, do whatever. You get a couple of these things and you're going to be good to go. The fact that they don't include those front and rear fenders on there is kind of silly in my opinion. But yeah guys, if you want to check out this bike, go ahead and use the link in the description. I'm going to get a full review video on this bike soon, but overall the Puckipuppy Boxer is a good bike, and I think that this could be a really awesome, badass off-road bike for hunting, for off-roading, whatever you want to use it for. It's rugged, it's tough, and it certainly behaves more like a dog than it does a puppy. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.